Hello again. This is Greg Aden for another episode of Servant Leadership Podcast and coming to you live from Denver. If any of you have ever heard of the word hospitality, you know of the organization called IHOA, Asian American Hotel Owners Association. And today I have the great pleasure of interviewing not only a hospitality legend relative to leadership, but someone who's just recently taken the control of IHOA, and he's CEO and president, Mr. Ken Greene. Ken, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Greg. How are you?
Awesome. Awesome. I know you know a lot of people that will be watching this, but for the people that don't know you, Ken, where are you from? Where did you come from? Why the hospitality industry? And then I know the question that I'm dying to ask you is why? What's your why? And why are you involved in IHOA?
Yeah. You know what? I've had a great journey in life and in my career. I grew up in New Jersey. Great parents. Had a father who's a scientist, a PhD in chemistry, and my mother was in education. And I think they grounded our family really well. Taught us a couple really valuable lessons in how to treat people, integrity, always never continue to learn, and it was a great background for I think anybody to grow up in. And so I couldn't be more appreciative of what my parents did for me in the beginning years. I went to a small school called Swarthmore College, a small liberal arts school outside of Philadelphia, and went to grad school in University of Texas, Dallas, and got into the hospitality industry really through acquisition. I was the head of strategic planning for Coldwell Banker, and in 1996, HFS, which is
Sure.
predecessor company to Wyndham today,
Yeah.
bought Coldwell Banker, and I went to work for Steve Holmes, who became the chairman for Wyndham, and what a great career. I mean, I was a young guy. I didn't know much, thought I knew more than I did.
Of course.
And that HFS Ascendant Wyndham world opened up, huge doors for me. Entered into the hospitality industry as the chief financial officer for the hotel group. Big job back in 2001. And, I was never really a finance guy. I was really more of a strategy person.
Sure.
And ended up running brands. Set up a new strategic plan for Wyndham and for the hotel group. And then ended up running into operations, and ran my first brand was Howard Johnson, and then Travelodge, Days Inn, and Ramada.
Sure.
Great career.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, tell me about the people that helped you, Ken, become the hospitality professional you are. I understand that you've had some great mentors in your career, like most of us. And then tell us a little bit about who they are in brief, but more, I'd like to talk about how you have mentored other people. And what is it like to take a young man, a young woman under your wing, so to speak, and show them the ropes, but really get them to understand what the hospitality industry is all about?
Yeah, so I've had a bunch of mentors throughout my life. I'll focus on one, but what I will say is that I think you can learn from people, any leader and any person, of what to do and what not to do. And so I think everybody's a mentor in one way or another. But I was fortunate early in my career, right out of grad school. I worked for a financial services company, and we took it public. The guy that came in as the president of the company was a retired admiral, and Admiral Ott, and he taught me an awful lot. He taught me more probably in 1 year than I learned in 20 years, and taught me about the art of war. And how to apply that to business. And that sounds like a battle, but a book, but it really isn't.
Sure.
It's talking about deploying your team in the right way, having the right strategic plans, understanding the lay of the land, building a competitive plan to succeed, and really win the war before it's ever fought. And in our world in business, that's an important thing to do. And he also taught me, he said, listen, do three things in life. Never stop learning, be a sponge. The day you stop learning is this day you shouldn't be on this earth. Yep. The second thing, and I think it served me well, and I think it served folks that I've mentored well as also, is never do the things that you really don't want to do, or if somebody asks you to do it, either in your personal life or your business life, that you really don't want to do it because you don't like it. Do it with the same passion as the things you like, because
Amen.
sometimes those just open up doors
Hmm.
that because nobody else wants to do these things. And so if your boss comes to you and says, "Hey, I want you to go, sweep the floors," and you don't want, maybe you should go do that. Maybe it's a bad example,
I
uh,
understand.
but that may open up doors for you. And I can count on numerous times in my career where that served me well. And the third thing he said to do, and I've always taken this to heart, is you never forget your roots. Never
Hmm.
forget what got you to where you are today. Remember the people that helped you along the way. And when you get into that type of position to help others, uh, do that.
Yeah.
Remember what others did for you, and do the same. And so, I think that's really important. And as I've sort of had success in my career, one of the great enjoyments I've had is to help other people achieve things they never thought they could achieve.
Ken, why AHOA? And tell us your true why for being there. But what is your desire for AHOA relative to leadership, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, AHOA, my relationship with AHOA members go back 20 years ago when
Hmm.
I first ran Howard Johnson and went to my very first AHOA conference back out in Long Beach, California. I think that was 2003.
I
And
think
I
it
was a
was.
young guy, and there was a bunch of AHOA members that really helped me out, gave me good advice, and they've been, to this day they're dear friends. Now, many AHOA members have been my franchisees
Hmm.
in the various brands that I've run over the years. Uh, and listen, I got a great affinity to the association, to the members and their success. Really the story of the American dream. Some
Yeah.
of them coming over, sweeping the parking lot of their uncle's hotel. Today have 30, 40 hotels. What a great story and
Hmm.
to tell. And so I have a lot of respect for AHOA and what it's done. I spent a piece of my career out in Hong Kong and running Asia Pacific, and really being uh, im- immersed in different cultures, and have really found that to be a passion of mine. Uh,
Hmm.
and so I get that with AHOA as well. And so this is a time for me to give back. I've had
Good.
a lot of success in my career. I think as a leader in the industry, I can't think of a better place to be than AHOA, where we got 20,000 members. They now own 60% of the hotels in the United States,
It's awesome.
34,000 hotels. I mean, they're contributing almost $380 billion to the U.S. economy. It is a wonderful association.
Yep.
And I think we are now poised to continue on and really be the voice of hotel owners, whether you came from India or not,
Right.
uh, for the entire industry, representing hotel owners. And that's what I would like to bring, to get the AHOA members, the board, our officers, our team members at AHOA, all on the same page, and really working towards adding value to our membership, but also to be a true leader in the industry on key issues, whether they're political advocacy, franchise advocacy, education, talent development, or just bringing people together, vendors, industry partners, and members together.
The people in AHOA that I have been working with or have worked with for 16 and a half years, I would say are some of the hardest working human beings I've ever met, dedicated to not only their family and their family's legacy, but they have a desire to truly serve other people in a hospitable way. And you and I can tell stories all day about the person who has a 16-room exterior corridor, and next thing you know, they're being approved for a Howard Johnson's or a Days Inn or a Holiday Inn Express or Hampton. And like you said, they now own a significant amount of all the hotels in the United States. And I don't believe the normal public person walking around staying at these assets have a clue how powerful and how wonderfully generous AHOA is and the members of. So maybe we save that for another show, but I really want Ken Greene, you to now get inside your leadership heart and talk about what you believe leadership means today and what do we need more of?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we need more of being together. I think, I think in our world today, everything's so divisive, and with COVID, we've been physically apart, and I think that's caused a series of different types of issues in terms of we communicate and how we work together as teams, and it's a difficult environment. And so I think, listen, as a leader, you got to constantly be communicating. You got to constantly try to help develop your team members. Where you got team members that have a weakness, to really try to help them improve that, and give them your experience and your thoughts, and give them the tools to succeed, and on their strengths to make sure that we're capitalizing and using everything that they bring to the table, all the talents they bring to the table. I think good leaders identify those issues, and they build plans on both of those. I think on communication, I think great leaders adapt their communication style to their team members. They don't demand the other way. Listen, as a leader, you really need to understand, how people like to receive their communication. Do they like it in writing? Do they like it verbally? You have to create a visual picture. What is it? And I think you need to change your communication to different individuals, and I think that's part of it. I think leading by example is always an important thing, and to me, that is, is really having empathy when you need to, but being direct and open and transparent, and dealing with integrity, and quite frankly, when you commit to do something, you do it accurately and timely, and or you don't commit to it. And so and then when you make a mistake, hey, failure is okay. So I think great leaders encourage failure.
Yes.
Without that, you don't know success. What I would say is just don't fail at the same thing twice. If you fail at something, learn from it, and so you can do it better later on down the road. So I think having this type of culture where people have the responsibility and the authority to go get the job done, and then you're holding them accountable.
Yes.
I think those are peak performance, cultures, where you can recognize people, reward them for their efforts, that's to me the type of environment I like to lead within and like to create as a leader. But I think you're always trying to check your ego at the door, roll up your sleeves, help your team members out. Listen, again, if I got to drop down and sweep the floors, I will do that. If that is probably not the best use of my time, but if that's the right example for that moment, if that helps us long term in developing, talent or solving an issue, then so be it. And that's what I should do.
You've touched on at least 4 of my 5 principles, Ken, and that's integrity. I am my word. Accountability clearly speaks for itself. You mentioned humility or empathy. To me, humility and empathy are next door neighbors. And you said it's not about you, it's about the other person. And I coach from the inside out, and I encourage people to show up as the best version of themselves. And based on how you're parented, how you're led perhaps influences that a little bit. We can talk about parenting and leadership and the synergies or the similarities there all day. But the other principle I'd like for you to comment on is how we communicate with courage. How are we courageous with our word, to want to have a conversation that's going to change the outcome of this situation and perhaps the relationship. But when you hear that courageous conversation, what comes to your mind, and how do you communicate with courage?
Yeah, no, I think that's being direct and transparent, and if you're dealing with a team member, and you see something not going well, or they're not addressing an issue well, or they're not performing well. I think having those coaching conversations very early on, and very direct, and listen, people sometimes they try to avoid those conversations, but you're not serving anybody well, not the organization, not yourself as a leader, and
Mm-mm.
certainly not the person that needs to improve performance in whatever way they need to. And I think that is being direct and transparent and open, and not being afraid to have that discussion in a way that is productive.
Yeah.
Hey, this is about getting you to a better place. It's about developing your skill set. It's about contributing more to the organization that you're part of, and hopefully adding to your opportunities in the future to grow within this organization or another one.
Yep.
And so I think that's it's not a nice to do, or you think you should do. It's a must do.
Well,
And so go
and
ahead.
Ken, what I'm, yeah, and I hear it's not a must do, but as I like to say, it's a get to.
Yeah.
We get to have these courageous conversations with the people that we say are important. And I'm just going to shift over to parenting for a minute. I have a 10 and a 12-year-old, and I'm sitting here thinking about, would I avoid talking to my sons about something really important so they would change their behavior and be more kind and considerate and more humble? Or would I? Of course I wouldn't. So why would we do that with someone on our team? And what I hear you saying is, be direct, be authentic, be upfront about what it is you want to do. But then the reason we're having these conversations is so everyone can grow and get better.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. And I think it actually extends to relationships with your customers, and those people that you serve. I think one of the best words in the dictionary is no. It may be
Yes.
one of the more difficult words for people to utter sometimes, because they're trying to cater to everybody. But I think, listen, when you can't do something, to be able to look somebody in the eye and say, no, I just can't do that for these reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But here is what I can do.
Yep.
And why that might be meaningful to you, and in place of the thing that you asked for. I think that's those are conversations people try to avoid. They sort of skirt around. They never, you never really have, well, let me look into it. Give me some time to look at, when the answer is no. And so I think the no conversation is a tough one, but I think actually you can turn that around to very positive, and that as you peel the onion in that conversation, maybe you find that what was being asked for was well, maybe there was a different purpose than you had thought,
Yeah.
and maybe there's a different solution, right? So,
And I believe that agreement is more powerful than expectation. That's a whole coaching distinction that I use. And when you ask somebody if they will do something, not can they, but will they can say yes or no. And that's an agreement. And I also share with my clients that a commitment is no. A commitment is no, I won't.
yeah.
So love what you're saying. In closing up, Ken, if you could talk to the 24-year-old or the 26-year-old version of yourself,
Yeah.
there's going to be thousands of people who are 20 to 30 years old listening to this. What would you tell them about how to be a better leader? I know what you stood for and what you believe leadership is, but in today's world, what do we want the younger leaders that are going to be leading our organizations as we ride out into the sunset? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, so I'd go back to the advice I got from the admiral on the three things of,
Okay.
be a sponge, do all the things that you don't want to do with as much passion, and then never forget your roots and be humble and give back. I think those are important three
Yep.
things. But I would also say that I think in today's world, it is important for everybody, but particularly for leaders and young leaders, to visualize walking in each other's shoes. And we all come from different places, different backgrounds. We've had different experiences. Some that maybe we may be aware of each other, maybe we aren't, but are aware of those. But I think the the journey of sort of visualizing walking in each other's shoes, I think gives you perspective and context, and helps you become a better leader. And I think it's so easy sometimes just to put things within your own context and your own experiences, and that maybe not that accurate. That's very yeah, you sort of have blinders on, and I think that's what that's one of the things I learned when I was out in Asia, dealing with multiple cultures.
Sure.
Is you think even certain words, English words, there have different meanings in different countries, and so just to be aware of cultural differences, being aware of that people have different backgrounds and different experiences, and really trying to put yourself into their shoes when you're having any type of discussion, whether it's with a customer, whether it's with a team member, whether you're managing up or you're managing down. I think it's important to have that context. And so.
Well, young leaders, if you're listening to this, I've been doing this coaching for a lot of years now, and you're listening to someone who's led a lot of people and had been led by other great people. Courage and humility are two of the most difficult principles for leaders to get a grasp of. And I say humility is difficult for leaders because they believe they've earned a spot and they don't need to listen. They believe they deserve to tell people what to do. And I'm telling you right now, that's not great leadership. Ken Greene just mentioned that one of the most valuable things young leaders can do is have empathy and humility, understand where other people are coming from so that you can understand why it's important that they're behaving the way they are. Now, a leader can always step in and tell people what to do, but understanding where someone is coming from, like you said, Ken, putting yourself in their shoes. And frankly, some people don't even wear shoes, but understand from where they're coming from so you can communicate with them. And we're in such a hurry today, Ken, to say yes and to appease and do all overpromise and underdeliver. And if we could just slow down, that's the other advice I'd give the young leaders. If we could just take a breath, listen, and I mean with your eyes too, and understand where the other great advice, Ken. I really appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate it, Greg. Hey, listen, I wake up every day now and look in the mirror and I feel good about what I do. I'm helping people every single day, and I think that's what great leaders do. So
feels good, doesn't it?
It does feel good.
And I have to say, I love a man and a woman who get up every day and look in the mirror. And why I say that is because that's the person that gets to show up however he or she wants to, based on that view in the morning. And if we get up and see a grump, you're going to go out and be that person. So I could talk to you all day about leadership, especially in this industry. I had no idea we had some similar backgrounds. We'll appreciate you and good luck. Have a great day, Ken.
All right, you too, Greg. Talk soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.